Your conclusion, madam, but you have not answered my question. Finally answered.
Well,
Assuming for the sake of argument that in your case, hiding under the bed connotes cowardice, are you excluding altogether the probability that it may connote prudence on your part? Whether, in fact, you hid under the bed or not?
Objection, Your Honor. That question was already answered in the previous questions, and therefore the additional answer to this is only an amplification of her previous testimony. This question has been repeated already, Your Honor.
And besides, the question is argumentative. It is started assuming for the sake of argument.
Well, I will remove that, Your Honor.
All right, rephrase your question.
If, as you say, hiding under the bed in your case connotes cowardice, are you excluding altogether any possible interpretation of that phrase, such as, for example, to mean prudence?
Yes, because I said I did not hide under my bed, and I never had any intention of hiding under my bed. And there is also the physical impossibility of hiding under my bed. Yes, because I said I did not hide under my bed, and I never had any intention of hiding under my bed. And there is also the physical impossibility of hiding under my bed, sir.
So your main quarrel then with Beltran is the misstatement that you hid under the bed, which is not the truth.
One of my main issues here is the issue of truth. And I believe that all of us here have a responsibility and obligation to seek the truth and make known the truth. Sir?
That is true, madam, and that is precisely why, if you will forgive me, I keep asking you these questions, because I keep wondering how you can come to the absolute and necessary conclusion that when Luis Beltran said you hid under the bed, whether true or not, he imputed cowardice to you. But let me proceed with my next question. On July the 16th of 1990, you yourself hid under the table when the killer earthquake shook the building when you were then having a caucus. Did you not?
Well, I don't think you should use the word hide, because I was not hiding from anybody. I was, in fact, sir, under the table with some senators and some cabinet members, sir. So when you say I hid under the table, I think is again a misstatement. I did not hide under the table. I went under the table in full view of several senators and several cabinet members.
Your first was to protect yourself.
Her testimony to be stricken from the record, if you may wish.
Excuse me, sir, would you please repeat the question?
I myself forgot it, madam.
Right, the stenographers are directed.
Last question of the defense counsel.
The purpose was to protect yourself from a mortal danger.
No, that's not I will just restate the question. I am afraid the notes will not be as straight as you would like them to.
Already there. Last question, if you can read.
I will just restate it. It will be faster, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, restate the question, please.
When you went under the table then, on July 16th, your purpose was to protect yourself from imminent mortal danger. Was that correct, madam?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You did not or would not consider that an act of cowardice, would you?
No, sir, because if I may explain, in that room there is a glass ceiling, and one of the cabinet members recommended that I go under the table because he was afraid the glass from the ceiling would fall on us, sir.
There was also heavy and intense firing directed at Malacanang and against you, as you said in your press interviews. Personally, the rebels were out to get you at that time.
Objection, Your Honor. Misleading already. The witness never testified on such a...
I am suggesting it to her, Your Honor. I am on cross.
She must know the situation. Allowed.
Sir, would you please repeat the question?
Will you please read back the question again? Sino sa inyong... there are 3 stenographers here. Ikaw, Mr. Aaron, do you get the question? Mrs. Makalingkad?
Of the answer of the witness.
Okay. We will allow her to answer the question.
The question, madam, was, for example, when you said in one of your major EDSA speeches that the vice president was a fly, did you mean that literally, or were you only using a figure of speech?
I did not mean that literally, sir.
Yes, ma'am, because obviously the vice president is not a fly. But when you did say that, you could have been referring to the certain characteristics of a fly which you are attributing to Vice President Laurel. For example, one of the possible interpretations of your use of the word is that he is a pest, a nuisance, because a fly is an insect. Am I that correct? That is one possible interpretation.
Yes, that is one possible interpretation. Another interpretation is that normally a fly does not bite and is inconsequential, sir.
Still a figure of speech. And one of the possible interpretations might even be that a fly being known to be a denizen of the garbage heap, a carrier of disease, that you were referring to the president as such. Will you agree with me?
Objection, Your Honor. The question was already answered.
I never asked that question here.
What the meaning of the statement fly?
I think about possible interpretation.
By the way, what is the relevance of this line of questioning to the main issue of to show, Your Honor, that the use of to compare right from the point. Is it your position that the words of worms hid under the bed is a naturally innocent? Yes, sir. What end window? The mere act of hiding under the bed is a purely innocent error unless you happen, of course, to be hiding from it or the husband.
You know,
This is the purpose of the defense counsel.
Ma'am, because obviously the vice president is not a fly. But when you did say that, you could have been referring to the certain characteristics of a fly which you are attributing to Vice President Laurel. For example, one of the possible interpretations of your use of the word is that he is a pest, a nuisance, because a fly is an insect. Am I that correct? That is one possible interpretation.
Yes, that is one possible interpretation. Another interpretation is that normally a fly does not bite and is inconsequential, sir.
Still a figure of speech. And one of the possible interpretations might even be that a fly being known to be a denizen of the garbage heap, a carrier of disease, that you were referring to the President as such. Will you agree with me?
Objection, Your Honor. The question was already answered.
I never asked that question yet.
What the meaning of the statement, like a fly?
No.
I'm talking about possible interpretations, Your Honor.
By the way, what is the relevance of this line of questioning to the main issue at bar?
To show, Your Honor, that the use of generally innocent words would bother upon even if our state will not necessarily execute.
Listen to position of well, what's a well? He under the bed. This is innocent.
Yes, Your Honor. Without anyone of having a knowledge, is clearly innocent as you have for providing a husband.
That is the purpose of the defense counsel.
From the present witness.
Your Honor, the witness has been testifying along these same lines but only in her favor. Now that we are asking questions on the same grounds, hypothetical, the prosecution objects.
Now,
A different law for the ox.
We object to
the court is now satisfied to the point being driven by counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Another point. Go to another point.
In this
manner, in the sense which I will you address Senator Juan Ponce.
o mabuti pa siguro, magpakababae ka. Listen to those terms. Were you literally suggesting that Mr. Enrile undergo a sexual transformation?
Objection, Your Honor. This honorable court has already
to the certain characteristics of a fly which you are attributing to Vice President Laurel. For example, one of the possible interpretations of your use of the word is that he is a pest, a nuisance, because a fly is an insect. Am I that correct? That is one possible interpretation.
Yes, that is one possible interpretation. Another interpretation is that normally a fly does not bite and is inconsequential, sir.
Still a figure of speech. And one of the possible interpretations might even be that a fly being known to be a denizen of the garbage heap, a carrier of disease, that you were referring to the president as such. Will you agree with me?
Objection, Your Honor. The question was already answered.
I never asked that question yet.
What the meaning of the statement, like a fly?
No.
I'm talking about possible interpretations, Your Honor.
By the way, what is the relevance of this line of questioning to the main issue at bar?
To show, Your Honor, that the use of generally innocent words to convey or drive home a point, even if they are a misstatement of fact, do not necessarily constitute libel.
Is it your position that the words or terms hid under the bed is generally innocent?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Without any innuendo, the mere act of hiding under the bed is a purely innocent act, unless you happen, of course, to be hiding from a cuckolded husband.
All right.
If Your Honor, please, if that is the purpose of the defense counsel, we reiterate our objection to that line of questioning to the previous manifestation that we said that it is a matter of defense that should be testified to by the defense and not a matter which ought to be elicited from the present witness.
Your Honor, the witness has been testifying along these same lines but only in her favor. Now that we are asking questions on the same grounds, hypothetical, the prosecution objects.
Now,
A different law for the ox.
We object to
the court is now satisfied to the point being driven by counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Another point. Go to another point.
In the same manner, in the same speech I think it was, you addressed Senator Juan Ponce Enrile by saying, magpakalalaki ka, o mabuti pa siguro, magpakababae ka. When you said those terms, were you literally suggesting that Mr. Enrile undergo a sexual transformation?
Objection, Your Honor. This Honorable Court has already stated that the Court has already understood the point of the defense counsel. And that already
has already satisfied the courts regarding your point that you want to drive at.
I am speaking of figures of speech used by the witness herself. And the point I'm driving at here is, if she can take it, if she can dish it out, she should also be able to take it. The sauce for the goose must also be sauce for the gander. More, na. Teka, tuloy ko muna ito. Did you read Mr. Beltran's apology in the Philippine Star?
Yes, I did read that article, sir.
May the prosecution kindly show the witness is exhibit and yung evidence yan. I will repeat the H1 or H2? H2 is the one entitled Beltran says sorry? Yes. I'm sorry. Let me correct the record. I'm referring to Exhibit 2. H2. Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, I read it, sir.
Will the court forgive me for not standing up every time I address the court?
It's all right. It's all right. You may remain seated.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, for your time. Today it was published.
Yes, sir.
Now, there is a paragraph there which says, anyone who read my columns of August placed under pressure and for refusing to leave Malacanang during a crisis. These columns are a matter of public record in the back issue of the letter. For which I publicly praised her courage. Did you attach any significance to this? Not all, madam.
Well, I read it, sir.
That's not my question. Did you give consideration to it? Did you attach any significance to it?
Well,
the article says,
well, I read it, sir.
That's not my question. Did you give consideration to it? Did you attach any significance to it?
Well, as the article says, Beltran says sorry to Cory.
Mr. Beltran's way.
At this juncture, Your Honor, we object on the ground that the question The witness has already answered it, and the witness herself
All right.
asked the defense counsel what is the meaning of his question.
Mrs. Witness, do you understand the question?
Yes,
All right. May
Your
answer.
Honor.
May answer. Answer the question. What significance, or did you give significance to that column of Mr. Beltran?
Well, Your Honor, what I understand from this column is that Mr. Beltran is saying
that in his columns of August 29, September 1, and September 3, he praised you for your gutsiness, your grace under pressure, and your self-control.
Yes, maybe I did ask for these columns and I read them. I am sorry, I really do not remember exactly what I did when I read this column, but perhaps I did ask one of my staff to present me with the columns of August 29, September 1, and September 3. But what I was looking for in this alleged apology was for Mr. Beltran himself to say that I did not hide under my bed, sir.
Oh, I see. Now, when
Did you particularly look back?
did it not change your mind at all about your opinion of Mr. Beltran having imputed cowardice to you in his October 12 column?
Well, sir, I think it is of common knowledge that whatever one may say today and whatever one may say in the future, it is on the date that he says is the latest that on Sunday to Friday that he loves her very much, and then maybe on Saturday he does something which does not show his love. So whatever he does on Saturday would probably negate what he did from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, sir.
In other words, for one error, you would punish a person who has been praising you for several times. That is your way of thinking?
Sir, I am fighting for the truth. And I think it is very important for all of us to give to the public the truth. It is their right, sir.
But the truth has many faces. Don't you agree with me, madam? Literal truth may not be the same as the actual truth. Don't you agree with me?
Sir, in this particular case, both the legal and the factual truth are one and the same insofar as I'm concerned, sir.
I understand you had studied law in your earlier years.
Just 1 year, sir.
You finished your question.
Yes, sir.
That legal and factual misstatements do not by themselves and standing alone constitute libel.
Objection, Your Honor. That is already a question of law which the Honorable Court can take cognizance of, and not for a witness to tell the Honorable Court.
Your Honor, the reason I asked that question is that the witness qualified herself to be competent on discussing criminal law.
All right.
Sustained. And then, another thing, please, Your Honor. What I am after is if the witness knew this rule and nonetheless she filed this complaint, then certainly there must be something wrong somewhere.
All right. I will sustain the objection.
Thank you. Did anything transpire, madam, between you and Mr. Luis Beltran of any significance at all from August 29, when he wrote his column praising you for your gutsiness and your grace, until October 12, when he wrote that you hid under your bed?
I do not recall anything of particular significance.
Or grudge to develop between the two of you?
I really do not remember any such ground or any occasion for the cause of any enmity between Mr. Luis Beltran and myself, sir.
The fact of the matter is, madam, Mr. Beltran supported you in the 1986 case. in his company. Is that correct?
Yes, he was a friend of my husband, sir.
You have not done anything to Mr. Beltran that will make him change his opinion of legal and factual. Your Honor, the reason I asked that question is that the witness qualified herself to be competent on discussing criminal law.
All right.
And
Sustain.
then,
Under my bed, sir.
oh, I see. Now, when you did look particularly or look back at the August 29 column, which has already been marked as August 2, as Exhibit 2, Beltran. No. Did it not change? Column?
Well, sir, I think it is of common knowledge that whatever one may say today and whatever one may say in the future, it is on the date that he says is the latest. That is what we accept. If I may be allowed by the Honorable Court, I would liken it to a husband who tells his wife from Sunday to Friday that he loves her very much, and then maybe on Saturday he does something which does not show his love. So whatever he does on Saturday would probably negate what he did from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, sir.
In other words, for one error, you would punish a person who has been praising you for several times. That is your way of thinking?
Sir, I am fighting for the truth. And I think it is very important for all of us to give to the public the truth. It is their right, sir.
But the truth has many faces. Don't you agree with me, madam? Literal truth may not be the same as the actual truth. Don't you agree with me?
Sir, in this particular case, both the legal and the factual truth are one and the same insofar as I'm concerned, sir.
I understand you had studied law in your earlier years.
Just 1 year, sir.
You finished your course in criminal law then?
Yes, sir.
Would you be aware of the rule in libel cases that legal and factual misstatements do not by themselves and standing alone constitute libel?
Objection.
It's already a question of law which the Honorable Court can take cognizance of, and not for a witness to tell the Honorable Court.
Your Honor, the reason I asked that question is that the witness qualified herself to be competent on discussing criminal law.
All right.
Sustain. And then, another thing, please, Your Honor. What I am after is if the witness knew this rule and nonetheless she filed this complaint, then certainly there must be something wrong somewhere.
All right. I will sustain the objection.
Thank you. Did anything transpire, madam, between you and Mr. Luis Beltran of any significance at all from August 29, when he wrote his column praising you for your gutsiness and your grace, until October 12, when he wrote that you hid under your bed?
I do not recall anything of particular significance insofar as the relationship between Mr. Beltran and me is concerned.
Grudge to develop between the two of you.
I really do not remember any such ground or any occasion for the cause of any enmity between Mr. Luis Beltran and myself, sir.
The fact of the matter is, Madam, Mr. Beltran supported you in the 1986 elections. Am I correct?
Yes, he probably did, together with millions of Filipinos, sir.
He was close friends with your late husband and would often dine in your house in his company. Is that correct?
Yes, he was a friend of my husband, sir.
You have not done anything to Mr. Beltran that will make him change his opinion of you from August 29 to October 12.
Sir, if I did anything to Mr. Beltran, is that the
Yes.
question, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I have not done anything. At least I have not knowingly done anything against Mr. Beltran, sir.
A few more questions, Your Honor. I'm getting tired.
Now, I would just like to address this question. I heard you said, Mrs. Witness, that if Mr. Beltran has only said that what he stated in the disputed column is not true, you will be satisfied.
Well, it seemed to me that a real apology will say that the president did not hide under her bed.
Yeah.
Because the article in question, you know, the phrase, if you will recall, really bothered me very much, sir, Your Honor.
Yes. If he will state that it is not true that you really hide or hid under the bed, you will be satisfied.
Well, Your Honor, since I have gone this far, I would like to tell this honorable court why I pursued this case. I believe that even under a democracy, all of us are committed to the truth, and especially those who are in media have a strong obligation to seek the truth and to make known the truth. This is all that I am fighting for, Your Honor. It is not just me, Corazon Aquino, but I would like to express this in behalf of perhaps many in our citizenry who are just seeking the truth and who believe that they have a right to the truth, Your Honor.
Yes, precisely. My question is, if he will make, I'm referring to Mr. Beltran, if he will make a public statement that that article, that disputed portion of his column is not true, and that in fact the President, as Commander-in-Chief, did not hide under her bed, will that be satisfactory to you at this stage?
Well, at this stage, Your Honor, and I would like to tell this to Mr. Beltran, who is here, it is not just he that I am addressing this to. I am addressing this to all, especially under this democracy of ours, that while there is press freedom, it is also important that the public be given the truth and be given the right to know the truth. So this is the first time, Your Honor, that I have met with Mr. Beltran. This is nothing personal against him. This is bigger than either Mr. Beltran or me. What the decision for coming to the court is precisely to focus attention on the obligation of everybody, and especially me being president, to always seek the truth and to make known the truth, Your Honor.
Now, Your Honor, just a moment. By this is not a public rally. No? This is a court proceeding. By your answer, Madam Witness, you are telling us that even if Mr. Beltran recants his statement in the disputed column, the disputed statement in his column, you will not withdraw this case anymore. It is too late now to withdraw.
You are correct, Your Honor.
All right.
Well, Your Honor, please, just for the record, we would just like to emphasize that it is the court that has asked this question, and certainly there has been no proffered recantation, if any, by accused Beltran.
All right.
A purely a hypothetical question. Your Honor, please, may I now be allowed to continue the cross-examination in view of the condition of my compañero who, after 1 hour and 10 minutes, as you know, he has suffered a heart attack a couple of months ago, and he deserves some rest. But I assure you, Your Honor, no questions on cross that has been asked by him will be repeated. And number two, Your Honor, I know my compañero is afraid. I do not know why they're afraid for me to ask cross-examination, but I assure you, Your Honor, that no question will be repeated. And number two, they will only be very, very few. It will not take more than 15 minutes.
All right. Any comment from the prosecution?
Objection, Your Honor. On the ground that if a veteran lawyer like Attorney Antonio Coronel finds it exhaustive to propound question,
So most now, willingness to answer questions.
that if at all there are some points that Dean Coronel has to ask, and he is not in a physical condition to answer the same, he can just bring it out and just ask the court this important question. I cancel, and will merely be a repetition of the previous questions. And then secondly, Your Honor, under the rules, the Honorable Court has the right, or rather the authority, not only to protect counsel, but also witnesses from prolonged examination. Possible questions, both direct and cross, have already been answered. We believe that the court can even terminate the testimony of a witness. At this juncture, Your Honor, maybe just ask Dean Coronel what are the other points that he missed during his lengthy cross-examination.
Your Honor, well, the counsel for the private prosecutor, Your Honor, I think has not replied to your query. You are asking whether there is any objection. Now let's talk about the rules. The rules, Your Honor, require that in cross-examination it's only yes or no, or a little amplification. But as Your Honor just witnessed, the President no less delivered an oration about the need of democracy and freedom of the press. Certainly that is not in accordance with the rule. Number two, we all know, as I said, that my compañero, Attorney Cornell, is perspiring profusely, and there is no reason to put him in other physical burden additionally. But now the question that has been asked will be repeated. And number four, again, in the interest of truth, as Mrs. Aquino wanted to find out, I would like to ask certain questions. After all, Your Honor, what is truth? Her truth, Mr. Beltran's truth, and the court's truth.
All right. Are you
I am asking, Your Honor, therefore, to continue the cross-examination.
All right. May I ask this stand of the prosecution, the people?
If Your Honor, please.
People's Counsel, I mean, I'm referring to the fiscals.
Your Honor, I cannot understand which the people's prosecution has given already authority to the...
Your Honor, please, we said that we...
When the private prosecutor conduct the testimony.
Control the private prosecutor. If he does not approve the manifestation of the private prosecutors, that is his prerogative.
Yes,
that is why I'm asking him what he says
yes,
about the manifestation of the private prosecutors.
Thank you, Your Honor.
If
We are,
he's approved the same.
We are one with the private prosecutor, Your Honor, in registering our objection to the taking over by another defense counsel in the cross-examination of the witness. Unless, of course, Attorney Coronel will state on his honor as a man that he is no longer in a position to continue with the cross-examination. And unless, of course, Attorney because I would take it, Your Honor,
Your
that
Honor.
multiple representation is allowed, but in actual proceedings, not all the lawyers representing one party are allowed to cross-examine a witness. I would understand the concern of Attorney Cayetano, probably, Your Honor, if the counsel who cross-examine a witness for the record, that he is not satisfied with the way Attorney Coronel has cross-examined the witness, then we will have no...
Even terminate the testimony of a witness. At this juncture, what are the other points?
Reply to your query. You are asking whether there is any objection. Now let's talk about the rules. The rules, Your Honor, require that in cross-examination it's only yes or no or a little amplification. But as Your Honor just witnessed, the President no less delivered an oration about the need of democracy and freedom of the press. Certainly that is not in accordance with the rule. Number two, we all know, as I said, that my compañero, Attorney Cornell, is perspiring profusely, and there is no reason to put him in other physical burden additionally. But number three, the most important, Your Honor, is, as I said, and I give my word as an officer of this court, that no question that has been asked will be repeated. And number four, again, in the interest of truth, as Mrs. Aquino wanted to find out, I would like to ask certain questions. After all, Your Honor, what is truth? Her truth, Mr. Beltran's truth, and the court's truth.
All right, are you through?
I am asking, Your Honor, therefore, to continue the cross-examination.
All right, may I ask the stand of the prosecution, the people?
If Your Honor, please.
People's counsel, I mean, I'm referring to the fiscals.
Your Honor, I cannot understand which the people's prosecution has given already authority to the...
Your Honor, please,
yes.
we said that we are allowing the private prosecutor to conduct the testimony
Just a moment,
that is under
just a
our control.
Well, can they not handle the defense
Just a
of...
Just a moment, please. The fiscal is the one who directs...
We are now asserting our right to control
and, control the
prosecutor.
private prosecutor. If he does not approve the manifestation of the private prosecutors, that is his prerogative.
Oh, yes,
that is why I'm asking him what he says
yes.
about the manifestation of the private prosecutors.
Thank you, Your Honor.
If
We
he
are,
approves and disapproves the same.
We are one with the private prosecutor, Your Honor, in registering our objection to the taking over by another defense counsel in the cross-examination of the witness. Unless, of course, Attorney Coronel will state on his honor as a man that he is no longer in a position to continue with the cross-examination. And unless, of course, Attorney Cayetano will go on record as saying that he is not satisfied with the cross-examination questions asked by Attorney Coronel so far. In that case, Your Honor, I will offer an objection. Because I would take it, Your Honor, that multiple representation is allowed, but in actual proceedings, not all the lawyers representing one party are allowed to cross-examine a witness. I would understand the concern of Attorney Cayetano, probably, Your Honor, if the counsel who cross-examine our witness is a so-so lawyer, if he's just a new graduate, unless, of course, that is not the way Attorney Cayetano looks at Attorney Coronel. Because as far as we know, Attorney Coronel is a leading practitioner. So, as I said, if Attorney Cayetano will say, for the record, that he's not satisfied with the way Attorney Coronel has cross-examined the witness, then we will have no objection, Your Honor.
Your Honor, before I ask Attorney Coronel to...
There are two items, there are two conditions
before Attorney
imposed
Coronel reply
by the public prosecutor. All right, what do you
Before
say?
Attorney Coronel reply to that, you know, it is a strange proceeding we are undertaking today, Your Honor. For the first time, the public prosecutor, headed by the City Fiscal of Manila, appeared. Because in the past, he has not appeared. He has only sent his assistant. But be that as it may, with all the innuendos that he has thrown on us, the point that we are trying to drive, Your Honor, is once upon a time, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, Your Honor permitted this representation to ask additional cross-examination on no less than the President's daughter, Mrs. Balsi Cruz. Is the prosecution afraid that I will ask the same question that Mrs. Balsi Cruz was asked? I cannot understand the different rule. They did not object then, and they're objecting now. Now, as far as Attorney Coronel, we all know he's a dean, and I think he's the dean of the Defense Council. He needs no introduction. His art and quality as a lawyer has been recorded. In fact, he has written several books on cross-examination. It is not an issue of whether Attorney Coronel cannot continue, except, as I said, for some physical reason, but certainly not because this representation belittles the capacity of my friend. Certainly, Your Honor, I will be the last one to belittle what I think is now of public knowledge, that Dean Coronel is the first defense counsel of this country.
All right. When I allowed you to cross-examine one of the witnesses a few weeks ago, it was because of the fact that you entered your appearance only about that date. I gave you the benefit of the doubt that you have not conferred with the main counsel, so that you were not able to plot out the strategy that you will undertake during that hearing. Now, I don't want to prejudice your client just because of technicality. But this time, you have ample time with the main counsel to plot out your strategy. And therefore, everything must have been discussed. But if Attorney Coronel, as has been suggested by the public prosecutor, will go into the record that his physical condition will not allow him to continue, then that is another point which I will have to consider.
Then we will ask Attorney Coronel.
Very well. On the record, under your oath as an officer of the court, will you please state in the record what is your physical condition at this stage?
Thank you for the opportunity for me to rest, Your Honor. I still think I can manage a few more questions.
All right, very well. Attorney Coronel will continue.
Well, thank you for giving Attorney Coronel 20 minutes of rest. He is now well rested, and I'm sure he can now continue the cross-examination.
With Your Honor's permission, Madam.
Proceed.
Number one. Did you come across the column of Mr. Beltran on September 1, 1987, copy of which we request to be marked as Exhibit 3 for the entire paper? 3 Beltran. Exhibit 3A, Beltran, for page 5, containing his column. May I ask my Associate Attorney Dilag to show the newspaper to the witness, Your Honor?
All right, this one, as requested.
Exhibit 3-A for the column. Not yet, not yet. Just the column itself. Pakita mo lang. Doon, pakita mo sa. Oh. Did you come across this particular column of Mr. Beltran, Madam?
As I answered you earlier, Attorney Coronel, when you referred to August 29, September 1, and September 3, I told you that perhaps I had, in fact, read these columns, sir.
Then may I call your attention to a portion of that column which says, and I quote, "If people who are trying to overthrow Cory Aquino think she's a pushover, they may not know her all that well. After Noynoy was shot, the president was asked if she wanted to fly out of Malacanang and stay in Fort Bonifacio, where she would be secured by thousands of troops, more than her PSG security in Malacanang. The president refused, after telling her generals that since Malacanang was the seat and symbol of the Republic, it would be a mistake to abandon it. By 7:30 a.m. Saturday morning, she was back in her guest house office, attending to business as usual. That is some gutsy lady." Will you agree with me that anyone who wrote that could have had nothing but admiration for your bravery and your gutsiness?
Yes, and especially on the day that he wrote it, sir.
May we request, Your Honor, that the portion be marked as Exhibit 3-B.
Mark that portion as Exhibit 3-B.
September 3. You also said that you may have read the column of September 3, which was referred to in the apology of Mr. Beltran. May I quote to you a portion of this column? And I request that the Philippine Daily Star issue of September 3, 1987 be marked as Exhibit D, Beltran. Exhibit 4, I'm sorry. I'm losing count. The page containing the column straight from the shoulder was Exhibit 4-A, Beltran. May I read to you a portion of Exhibit 4-A. A president can be prefabricated like Marcos was. And there are those who are now trying to prefabricate Cory Aquino into a mold according to their own image of what a president should be. A president pliable to any shape her advisors want has a megaphone amplifying words which are not hers. But once in a while, Cory Aquino breaks out of that mold. Consider her first words on DZRH at the time the rebels were winning. The assurance, I am safe, and the PSG is on the job. The humor, it's a little noisy here. The matter of factness, I guess we will have to postpone the Pampanga trip till we deal with this. The cave, we better keep the kids out of school for a while. That is the essential Cory Aquino, with her advisors out of reach and unheard from. That, Cory baby, is when you are sublime. Would you say that the one who wrote that has nothing but admiration for your bravery, for your self-control, and for your gutsiness?
Again, I believe that when Mr. Luis Beltran wrote this, that perhaps he really thought all of these things of me and has nothing to do with the October 12, 1987 article, sir.
May we request that the portion quoted by us, which is already shaded with yellow, be marked as Exhibit 4B, Beltran.
Mark it.
Now, Madam, in the same October 13 issue of the Daily Star, Prosecution's Exhibit H, please, can you kindly show it to the President? Exhibit H. October 13, Madam.
Are you referring to Exhibit H2?
No, Madam, I am now referring to the column of Mr. Luis Beltran,
I see, all right.
which is also contained in Exhibit H, page 5.
All right, I have it on page 5, sir.
Did you read that column of Mr. Beltran entitled "The President is Angry"?
Is what?
The President is angry. Yeah.
Yes, sir, in all likelihood I did.
Did you attach any significance to it? In other words, did you give it due consideration?
May I read the column first, sir?
Yes, Madam. Please go ahead. And I ask you to pay particular attention to the words in capital letters.
Sir, I've finished reading the column.
May I call your attention to the second part of the column, which begins with, "Anyway, our readers who will have read the President's reaction are entitled to an explanation." Paragraph. Contrary to what Teddy Benigno said, I never called the President a coward, nor was the phrase meant in that context. I said she was the first commander-in-chief to hide under the bed simply to emphasize the fact that no other president has ever been attacked in his own residence, nor have their children had to seek safety. I suppose I should have belabored the hyperbole with an explanation at length, but after publicly praising the president several times in this space for her courage and bravery, especially for her gutsiness and grace under pressure during the August 28 coup d'etat, I felt it was unnecessary. Did you attach any significance at all to this part of the column when you read it?
Well, yes, I do appreciate the fact that Mr. Luis Beltran says that he never called me a coward, and nor was the phrase meant in that context. But again, may I just say that Mr. Beltran did not say that I did not hide under my bed, sir.
But by way of summing up all of these points, do you know of any cause, whether valid or not, for resentment or for ill will or for malice on the part of Mr. Beltran that could motivate him to malign you in the manner that you claim he did?
Sir, may I ask you to please repeat that question?
Do you know of any cause, whether valid or not, for resentment, ill will, or malice on the part of Mr. Beltran that would have motivated him to malign you in the manner that you claim he did?
No, sir, I was principally basing my complaint on the questioned article of October 12, 1987. I did not go into any further research insofar as Mr. Beltran wanting to malign me or not. I based my complaint purely on the October 12, 1987 article,
So
sir.
your answer to my question, Madam, in short, is no, you do not know of any cause for Mr. Beltran to resent you or to feel ill will against you or to entertain malice against you.
That is correct, sir.
Thank you, Madam. Now, may I ask you, since you talked about freedom and democracy, does your administration adhere to the principle that the journalist is not a mere purveyor of truth? He is commentator and critic, and to unduly circumscribe him in his role to cut down upon the public service, that will be to cut down on the public service that you may render. Do you follow this policy?
Yes, of course. In fact, I think you are witness to the fact that every day it is not as if my administration gets pure accolades, but the criticism is there, and this is what democracy is all about, sir.
So you may go to the extent even of conceding that even if what is publicized is libelous or defamatory of you, on the basis of a consideration of a wise public policy, you may excuse the defamation legally on the ground that the possible good from the kind of thing that is being written outweighs the harm in the person defamed.
Yes, sir. The mere fact that I've only filed one libel suit, it does not mean that it is only Mr. Luis Beltran who has criticized me, sir. I believe, just as you, that we have to uphold the freedom of the press, but I hold also that along with the freedom comes a very serious responsibility and obligation, sir.
That was the point I was driving at.
Use your microphone.
Why? Why did you single out Mr. Beltran? If, as you say, others have been writing ill against you.
Well, because it is only Mr. Beltran who wrote what I believed was a blatant lie, because he wrote that I hid under the bed, and in fact, he wrote, if you will recall, purporting to say that this was an established fact, sir.
That, Madam, with all due respect, is the best answer that you can give to my question.
Already answered, Your Honor.
No, I'm asking her if that is the best answer that she can give to my question.
All right, let her answer.
Whatever answers I give you today, sir, those are my best answers, and those are the answers that I believe are true and come from both my heart and my mind, sir.
Does your government, your administration adhere to the principle laid down in the United States versus Bustos case, the landmark case on libel, which says complete liberty to comment on the conduct of public men is a scalpel in the case of free speech? The sharp incision of its probe relieves the abscesses of officialdom. Men in public life may suffer under a hostile and an unjust accusation, but the wound can be assuaged with the balm of a clear conscience. A public officer must not be too thin-skinned. Does your administration adhere to that principle?
Objection, Your Honor. That is already a question of law which is being interpreted by the Supreme Court or the Judicial Department of our government as to whether or not the Executive Department adheres to that, adheres to it or not, is immaterial, because it is the Supreme Court that enforces the interpretation of law in the country.
She is being asked if she adheres to that principle, if her government adheres to that principle. All right, we will allow the question.
Yes, sir. The Aquino administration adheres to that principle, sir.
Thank you, Madam. And now, for my last two questions.
Good.
It is a fact, Madam, that you were the one who appointed the Honorable Ramon Macasyar, presiding over this trial, as judge of the Regional Trial Court of Manila.
Immaterial. Yeah. Objection, Your Honor. It is already immaterial because it is of judicial knowledge that the Executive Department is different, separate branch from the judiciary.
All right.
It's a
Just to
question of
satisfy
fact.
counsel, I will say that I was appointed for the first time in 1983 by President Marcos.
My question, Your Honor, was...
Just a moment.
Yeah.
Then the president, when she came into power, asked every one of us to resign. Then one by one, we were reappointed. That is what happened. That is historical. But I do not owe anybody my position in this court, if that is what you are trying to drive out.
No, I'm not trying to drive at anything, Your Honor.
And that is
Otherwise, I would call Your Honor to the witness stand and question Your Honor yourself.
well, that is a public record already.
So with that admission, I will withdraw the question.
Very well. Thank you.
Last question. In the event His Honor is promoted to the Court of Appeals, it will have to be with your imprimatur. Is that correct, Madam?
Objection, Your Honor. That's already immaterial and hypothetical, Your Honor.
Again, if the court will take judicial notice of that fact,
I will
withdraw.
I will sustain the objection. That is immaterial. The power of the president to appoint is not at issue in this case.
No,
She
certainly
may
not, Your
or she
Honor.
may not appoint me.
What is at issue here
That is her...
are the 1,001 human factors that may enter into the trial of a case.
well,
And I'm entitled to put into record my own impressions of these factors.
all right. I respect your view.
That is all, Madam. Thank you very much.
Oh.